I'm Nicole, this is John. We have Marvin the green wing, he's 2, and then Mango the sun conure is also 2. We got them both as babies. Her issue is she's a shoulder bird, so we want to work on hand stuff with her. And then him, we eventually want a free flight, so we want to get a good relationship between him and John.
So the main issue you're having is that she's just flying to your shoulder, wanting to stay there, not coming down?
Yes.
Is that the sort of thing?
Yeah, and then like we, so we'll work on the T-stand and like literally she'll get there and then usually she'll jump back up, but
Okay.
she's not really there right now.
So it almost seems like you want to work on stationing, where we ask her to go there and then like stay there for longer amounts of time. Yeah. Okay. So first I want to address what is stationing and why are we using it in this masterclass?
Stationing is the whole idea of getting a bird to go to a perch whenever you want it to go there, and ideally to stay there for a longer amount of time until you ask the bird to come back.
So as you can imagine, we kind of send Nicole home with quite a bit of homework from this class because it's not something we can accomplish all of in 1 2-hour masterclass, but it is something that she can continually work on at home. But stationing is great, especially if you have an aggressive bird who tends to like run at the cage door and really want out quickly. You can teach behaviors like stationing where they go to a particular area and wait. It is a tricky behavior to train. So I would go ahead and give her a click and a treat right here, Dave. Oh, just give it a treat on the bird.
Right before she flew.
Yeah, that was scary. Good thing it was in her.
Yeah.
And I actually, if you can pick her up, I'm going to move this backwards so you have more space to work. She just doesn't like to do the stuff up front. Okay. So go ahead and tap here and ask her to fly back to it. And so it's going to help to really differentiate it if you give it a verbal cue. So if you want to use the word station, you can just tap and say station. So tap and then remove your hand and see if that's enough prompt for her to understand. Like, okay, apply to this. Okay. So next you guys are going to see an amazing example of the difference between using a lure effectively and training effectively. Now I think that this was probably one of the better master classes where I was able to actually distinguish the two, and you guys can kind of hear me just hammering on Nicole a little bit of like, all right, time to stop using luring and start using an actual cue so that it becomes training. And I think a lot of people miss what the difference is between when you're supposed to lure and when you're supposed to actually make it a trained behavior.
The important thing is that you can recognize that you can use luring, but you have to use it with an intention and then phase that out and put a cue on it. If you're only using luring, it takes me back to like watching Looney Tunes as a kid where the donkey's like following and trying to chase the carrot and never can get the carrot. That's what it feels like for this conure who's just trying to chase the carrot, but when we actually put it on a cue, the animal is learning that it can learn, and that's really the big difference between luring versus training.
Station?
So if you notice she wants to fly, take a step forward to avoid it.
So you've probably heard us talk about the birdie bubble before, but there's also the birdie comfort zone. And to illustrate that, I'm going to use this ring. So if the bird is in the very center of that ring, and you are within its circle, within the bird's bubble, it is going to be comforted by your presence under a lot of scenarios, not all of them. But in most cases, this is where the bird's comfortable in that presence. It's also going to be engaged with you. It's going to be looking for you to give hand cues, but you're close enough that just your presence with a bird that likes you is going to be getting a certain amount of reinforcement or reward. However, there's also the birdie comfort zone, which is the outside of that. So as long as you're within the birdie bubble, you need to be aware of your hand gestures, but the bird is also not probably going to make a flight. The moment you're outside of that ring, the bird is going to make a flight to get back to you so the bird feels comfortable. So in other words, right here I'm in Jamie's bubble, but if I'm over here just outside of the circle, if she was a bird, she'd come on over to get that comfort. She's not a bird. But that is really an important thing to recognize so that you are using your spacing in comparison to the bird with intention. Get a lot of reps out of her today.
Yeah, we are.
I'm super close right now. Step back, couple steps right there.
So stationing in general and just teaching it is kind of this song and dance between figuring out how far away you can make it from your clingy bird without trying to get that flight to you, and also keep the bird in a certain comfort zone where it will actually be
Easy for you to say.
Why'd you want me to talk? Okay.
What she's trying to say is you need to really pay attention and recognize if you're so close that the bird has no desire to jump to you, and in this case for stationing, use that to your advantage. If you move so far back and you're expecting the bird to stay, but the bird really wants to be with you, well then moving back's not going to be advantageous in that scenario. So really do your best to read your bird's body language and work with what the bird is offering. And since right now it's only offering to stay, when the human is in close proximity to the bird, we'll start there. And then we'll expand in small approximations out until eventually a human can be far away from the bird and the bird is going to be content staying and playing by itself on its own station.
What he said.
Mango.
Oh. Who's clicking?
Hang on, before you put her back, once you can station her from like the furthest distance you think you can.
Okay.
Nice.
And just try to pair it with a verbal cue
Okay.
as well. Do we want her intercepting with her hand, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so when she does fly to you, try to catch her with
Okay.
your hand so that it's not, because I think landing here is just kind of a pre-cue for her just going right to you.
Okay.
So go
Station.
Oh my gosh, that is the laziest.
You're adorable. You can do
It's
it.
so good to treat, but not a click if she does it. So here, let's reset it. So what's, can you put her on your other hand? And then cue with your right. Oh, where's the treat?
She might actually be receptive for you. Station?
Station.
Good.
Sure, picking up when it's.
No!
Station.
So reset.
Station.
Even try just going, tapping, and then backing up.
When you're trying to assign a new cue to a certain behavior, be consistent with the cue that you're giving so that the language is really clear to your parrot. If you're cueing with a point, and then you're cueing with a tap, and then you're cueing with a vocal cue, the bird's not going to understand what you're asking. So start with what's working, and if the bird has previously been lured, then the act of moving your hand towards the perch and tapping on the perch is close enough to what the lure was that the bird might move there because it thinks your fingers might have a treat. So start by just tapping and then be consistent with that. If you're trying to offer all these different cues, it's just not going to work well. Also take note from nature that most birds communicate silently through little motions and gestures of their feathers and body language. So by us giving a verbal cue, we're less likely to have success than if we give a very obvious tapping or visual cue.
You're so much better at these.
Thanks.
I think it's clearer
Okay.
with that because it's more closely related to targeting.
Okay.
Where you would be like holding something. So if you can do that and still maintain your distance where you can just like station and back up, she'll have all of her direction.
Okay.
To that.
Probably wrap up the session.
Okay.
So we've got.
Do you want to end on that though?
I'm good with that, yeah.
Okay, let's end on that one. Because anytime we're like, let's do one more.
So can you put her on top of the cage and target her in? You remember the birdie bubble versus the comfort zone? Well, here's a new angle to be able to really see from the side what I mean when I'm talking about the bird comfort zone. Now I'm gonna actually have you take a step forward so it avoids the flight. Go ahead and treat, because she didn't fly. Now step back for a moment, and then I'll have you step forward in just a minute before she has a desire to fly.
So if you notice she wants to fly, take a step forward to avoid it.
Too slow.
Okay, so come super close right now. Let me give a treat. Okay, go ahead and step back, couple steps right there.
We're increasing the distance while she's busy eating.
Yep, go ahead and step really close.
Good.
And step really far back. Awesome. Now go ahead and pick her up. If you can get her to step up or cue her to do a short flight, whichever's easier. There you go. She already knows to go back.
Well, it's good because she's enjoying the treat back there too, so that's going to take up time. So.
Okay, let's go and step back again. This time we might ask for a recall. Go ahead and call it.
Oh. Food.
Hey. Hang on, before you put her back, go ahead and see if you can station her from like the furthest distance you think you can.
Okay.
Nice.
You just come up and say station, and then back up.
Okay.
So that tapping, that's what I do with Bondi. If I want her
Go ahead and
to go
treat that,
places.
she's staying there. Sorry.
That's okay. But Bondi is learned if I'm just like, hey, station, like it's wherever I tap, and I can also move away from that place.
Okay.
So I think that'll be really helpful for you. Just like, hey man, I want you to come here, and then you can back up and gain that distance.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Station. So reset. She's gonna do it. Station. Even try just going, tapping, and then backing up.
Yeah, I can explain it.
Yeah.
You may not like it, but I'll explain it.
You're freaking me out.
So we found a trend with women that are blessed. And by this I mean if the bird, if you can stand sideways and rest the bird on you and they'll stay, don't reward the bird there. We affectionately refer to this as the third shoulder. So if you're letting the bird land on your third shoulder and you're treating there, you're just making this a cue. So just simply your presence will become the cue. So here we have to be very careful to make sure that in this particular case, you're catching the bird on your hand and rewarding on your hand, not the third shoulder.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, you really see this at play because Nicole is like, I'm not giving a cue for the bird to fly to her, but I was like, you are the cue.
Meanwhile, remember when I said they go off of visual cues?
It's very visual. So at our master classes, Dave really leads them, and he has just the best talks ever. And so I am going to end this particular masterclass video on one of his great talks about why we even train our birds and the purpose of it, because I think it's really important, and hopefully people watch the video all the way through to actually get this awesome nugget. You don't think they will? Oh, Dave!
Training is going to be the main language that we have to relay to them. And the best analogy I can give is when I was 18 years old, I toured China. And I was sitting in a restaurant trying to order food, and I'm getting mad because I only speak English. The waiter's getting mad because he only speaks Chinese. And so finally, I point to the picture of chow mein, and I'm like, that's what I want. And all of a sudden, the lights went off, and we're like, ah, perfect. He has a clear expectation of what I want. I have a clear expectation of what he's going to deliver. And that picture of the chow mein was our promise to each other of what our expectation was. Well, training is a series of those pictures that we keep adding. So as we build a picture, we're building trust. I've got trust with the waiter and vice versa, that we're on the same page. And so there's kind of some hand phobias, just general skittishness with these two. And I think it'll actually apply with your Conure as well. And so training is really going to be that language that bridges the gap between English and whatever language your bird's speaking. The target training, or stationing, or step up as a trick, those are going to be the things that are really going to bridge that gap and create a new language that we all speak together. The beauty of that is that if you teach how to target train, and I come up with a target stick and do training, the bird's like, oh, you speak this language too? And now we can start to build a larger relationship with multiple people. So if there's multiple people in the house, we can overcome some of these hurdles. Like for you, I mentioned 60-40, you're saying it's maybe more 80-20. And a lot of that's going to come down to really just building that language of training.